Hello and welcome to the Effects Loop with Byrne. This video is going to be a little bit different, and the next couple may be a little bit different because I am currently dealing with an issue regarding my computer. My computer died, just stopped working, which sucks because all my editing software and everything is in there. I'm literally shooting this on an iPod right now, and I'm going to be editing the video. Any editing that's done to the video is going to be done using iMovie in the actual iPod. So it won't be as flashy, and it will probably be very more straightforward and quiet, and I'm not going to have a bunch of music playing underneath it. But that's okay for this particular video I'm doing right now anyway, because I'm going to do the viewer comments video. I actually shot 3/4 of this video already, and the computer died, so here I am doing it again. This time I'm using an iPad, an iPad, an old iPad, mind you, and what's this? Oh, here we go. This stupid volume is annoying. An old iPad and an iPod to do these videos. So, kind of shows you that where there's a will, there's a way. And like I said, it's probably going to take me a couple weeks to get the computer situation straightened out, so this is going to be the way my videos will be from now on for a little bit. But not a big deal. I still plan on doing the same type of content, just a little less flashy with the editing and the music, that's all. But anyway, so I'm going to go with, I'm going to go through a few of the videos that I have posted, and we're going to look at some of the comments and some of the questions from people, and I'm going to answer them the best I possibly can. So, here we go. I'm going to do this all over again. I've already done this once. However, alright, so my very first video that I posted was called Roland JC40, Can It Be Your Only Amp? That was the very first video I posted, actually. And I got quite a few comments on that video. And one comment came from somebody named Serial Killer. Cereal spelled C-E-R-E-A-L, like cereal, like eating cereal. And it was a couple days ago. They posted a comment that said, I may have missed it in the vid, but are you running distortion through the effects loop or through the front? I've been running a tube screamer through the front of my 22, but haven't messed with pedals on the 40 yet. I'm not loving the built-in distortion on the 40. Okay, I was not running my distortion through the effects loop. I was running my distortion straight to the front. I wasn't actually using distortion from the amp. I was using, it was either my K-Line Pure Sky or my Andy Timmons Plus. I think for that video, I might have been using both. I can't remember exactly what I was using, but I was using either the JHS Andy Timmons Plus or the K-Line Pure Sky for that particular video. And so it's been running a tube screamer through the front of my 22, but haven't messed with the pedals on the 40 yet. Yeah, I have no problem with the pedals on the JC40. I think the JC40, the pedals they work perfectly fine. And yeah. It says I'm not loving the built-in distortion on the 40. The built-in distortion on the 40 is not the greatest. It can be usable. You can make it work. You can kind of get almost like an 80s kind of Andy Summers Police kind of vibe going on with it. But generally speaking, it's not the best distortion. You're better off using a distortion pedal of some sort or that kind of stuff. Okay? So, excuse me. So yeah, so that's that one. There was another comment here by somebody called Popo Catfish, P-O-P-O Catfish, and I thought this was just an interesting comment, so I'm gonna read it. Obviously, this is from somebody sounds like a Japanese person responded, which is kind of cool that you get responses from all around the world. And I thought it was a cool comment that this guy put, so I'm gonna read it. It's a little bit broken English, so I'll try to make it make sense for you. But he writes, "Greeting from Japan, JC." Greetings from Japan. JC 120 is what he's referring to, or 40, is ultimately standard amp everywhere in Japan, apparently. Rental studios, high school, college, light music club, karaoke bar, even countryside village festival stages. Every guitarist can be setting usable tone on themselves. If you have an opportunity to play in Japan, don't worry, JC is in there. It's interesting to hear that, actually, because Roland's a big company in Japan. Actually, I think they are a Japanese company. I'm not 100% sure, but I know they're from the Asian territories. And it's kind of cool to hear that, I don't know, that it's almost like they're the backline amp, from what this guy makes it sound like they are definitely a backline amp in Japan, which is kind of cool. They are used as a backline amps in the United States as well. I've watched videos and heard stories where people have said usually you get like a Fender Deluxe Reverb or a Fender Twin. Actually, the Tone Masters are starting to pop up as backline amps now in a lot of clubs because they're just easy to use. But it's kind of cool that this guy from Japan actually says that they are just all over the place. If you go play in a club, they're essentially the backline amp. So that's pretty cool, actually. All right, so, all right. There's another one here. Somebody asked me if I played the JC22. No, unfortunately, I haven't played that. I've been thinking about getting it. I've heard that the JC22 is very, very similar to the JC40. It's just, it has a smaller speaker. I think it's an 8-inch speaker, 2 8-inch speakers, but apparently it's still pretty loud. I would assume with the 8-inch speakers, you're not going to get as much of the bass response because they're smaller speakers. I mean, the JC40 that I have has 2 10s, which I'm not the hugest fan of 10-inch speakers, actually. I'm more of a 12-inch speaker fan. But I feel like it's worked for what it needs to do. So, and the 10s sound fine. Actually, you can get quite considerable amount of bass out of them. They don't have that thump that you get from a 12-inch speaker, but you can get a nice clear tone and everything sounds pretty good for it. So, yeah, so that's that. So now we are going to go to another video. Just bear with me here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to edit this stuff out using my iPod, so you may just be watching a straight stream of me doing this, me looking through this stuff. But I will go, I knew this one has some comments. Right here. Just give me a second. Because the video comes on every time I press it. And then I have to pause it. There we go. So now let's get to the comments on this. This is going to be comments from my Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb video, the firmware update. And just a heads up, some of these comments I have responded to already. I'm kind of doing this for entertainment purposes to have a video to post up here. Let's see. I knew there was a few comments in here that I could. Somebody wrote, Mickey Walnuts wrote, maybe turn the background music off when you record a video. Here you go. This video's for you, Mickey Walnuts. Actually, there was no music playing in the room. Any and all background music that you hear on my videos is added after the fact. You won't hear them in these current videos because I'm shooting straight with an iPod, but this guy wrote, Eric Gendel wrote, I bought one and returned it. Good, but not a great amp. And he's talking about the Fender Tone Master Twin Reverb. You know, that's a personal preference. I wrote back, fair enough. I think if you are not directly comparing it to its tube counterpart, it can be pretty useful. I find it needs a few pedals to sweeten the sound, or it can sound a little flat. But I guess the same can be said about some real tube twins as well. And somebody else responded to that, great amp, and I have owned both. This and tube, no real difference except the weight. Totally satisfied with mine. Many amps today are solid state, still love tubes also. I've got nothing against tubes. I've actually had tube amps. I had a Tube Deluxe Reverb, and it developed some issues after a while. But I can honestly tell you, having the Tone Master and having the tube versions, I don't see that much of a difference. I mean, maybe I'm not as discerning of a listener, but I don't hear that much of a difference between the two of them. The Tone Masters tend to be brighter. They still have just as much bass. There's a bit more clarity in the sound, actually, than the tube. The tube has more punch and more oomph in the room. That's but I think if you're cranking up the Tone Master, you'd have just as much oomph in the room. Because if you turn that thing up, it is freaking loud, believe me. So yeah. So I don't necessarily think there's that much of a difference between the two of them. Sometimes the distortion, if you're running a distortion pedal through it, it can sound different. It's not bad, but it sounds different. I don't really know how to describe it in any other way. It's just, it's different, you know? But I enjoy them. I like them. I actually really love that Tone Master Twin is becoming one of my favorite amps. I mean, I play it all the time. And I mean, I know a lot of people say because it's digital, I mean, it could just die out. Look, my freaking computer just crapped out and bye-bye. But, you know, I'm sure you're going to get quite a few years out of it. I mean, Fender designed those amps. Those aren't low-cost amps from Fender. Those things are made as high quality as Fender can possibly make them with the digital components. So that in mind, I feel like you're buying a solid piece of equipment. You're not buying the bargain basement version. You're buying, yeah, you're buying a better version. You know, you're buying their top of the line digital stuff basically from Fender. So yeah, I love it. I think it's a great amp, and I honestly think that if you can get past your tube bias, and try one, I think for somebody living in a small apartment or maybe just a bedroom amp, or you want to have the ability to bring the volume down and up at the same time, but still get halfway decent sounds either way. I think that's where they work really well. And plus, I mean, a Twin is a great pedal platform anyway. Same thing with a Deluxe Reverb. I mean, those are kind of like the ultimate pedal platform amps. Those are the amps that are used when pedal makers design pedals. They try them through those amps almost specifically. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I actually really like it. I think it works pretty great. So, all right, so we got that. Let's go to another video now and see if I can find some comments on this one. I have a couple of videos that did... Oh, here we go. I got this video has a few comments on it I can respond to. Let's see. This video was my Squier Classic 550 Stratocaster, a cautionary tale. You know, because you always got to make those YouTube titles to make things sound a little bit like dramatic. But in all honesty, it's funny because the comments, somebody wrote in the comments, let's see, where are we? Did you do it, from Audio Wonderland a couple of weeks ago, somebody wrote, did you do any research at all? You buying the wrong parts is not an issue with the guitar. Yes. I don't think I ever claimed it to be an issue with the guitar, per se. And to be honest with you, I didn't do a heck of a lot of research. I had some money available from Sweetwater, and it was cheap. It was like 25 bucks. I figured, worst case scenario, I can keep the saddles, which is what I actually did. I was actually going to try to keep the block too, but it just does not work. In this video, I changed out the bridge on the Squier Classic 5 Strat, and ran into a few problems with it fitting properly. But honestly, I didn't do a ton of research on getting the parts anyway, so it's as good as it's gonna be. And it didn't exactly fit well. I just thought it would make for an interesting video, and I filmed myself doing it, and I honestly didn't know that was gonna happen. It just kind of happened in the video, and I was shooting footage for videos anyway, so it became a video. There's somebody else wrote Dommy Mommy, whoever that is. That's somebody's name, their handle, their avatar, their whatever they want to call it. They wrote the trem hole is meant to be crooked. Okay, so the trem hole in those are apparently meant to be crooked, because I said the trem hole looked crooked and it was kind of weird. I guess it's for a different type of tremolo bar. It wouldn't work with the stock one that comes with the guitar. Apparently there is an actual, somebody should have used a Wilkinson 6-hole tremolo block. And somebody also said a Fender made in Mexico, Denny McCullum said, a Fender made in Mexico standard Strat bridge is a $20 drop-in replacement. Both of my Classic 5 Strats have them, and I've had none of the issues you point out in the video. Well, that's good. Thank you very much, Denny McCullum. And I actually may give that a shot. the only problem I have with the Fender Made in Mexico standard Strat bridge is you're essentially buying the same thing that's already in the guitar. There's a reason why I didn't go with that initially, because it's not an upgrade per se. Maybe you can get a thicker block. That would really be the only real upgrade, would be the thicker block. Because honestly, I think the parts that you're dealing with are virtually the same, as far as the metal and the way it's made, and maybe the metal's a little better. Maybe it's more pot metal for the Squier stuff. But the classic vibes try to have a little bit higher quality. So I think the metal that you're getting on those guitars is akin to the metal that you would get on a Made in Mexico guitar. They see, being that it's a drop-in replacement for it, I think it's probably the same thing. So I don't know if it's necessarily worth changing it out. I mean, if I could get a thicker block, maybe it might actually be worth it. But I'll have to look into that and see what that is. But yeah, those are a few comments on that video. So let's go to another one now. Keep the ball rolling here. I had some videos that actually had a lot of comments. I've got, oh, this one has some comments on it. I made a video, one of my Let's Talk Guitar videos, Gretsch Electromatic 5427T, and I did those videos. Get the comments up here. All right, so let's see. There was a few good ones in here, I remember. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Somebody wrote, Henry Matthews wrote, how timely. I am thinking of buying my first electric guitar and comparing this with the Streamliner. I have many acoustic guitars. I am looking for some distinct sounds for my loops. It would have been nice if you still had the Streamliner and did the comparison between the two. Well, yes. Unfortunately, I wrote back to him. I can tell you that the Electromatic felt more solid than the Streamliner. I honestly wouldn't have known the difference without playing the two like side by side, but there was just something nicer with the Electromatic. I also thought the pickup sounded better with the Electromatic. The Streamliner wasn't bad, but the Electromatic was just a better instrument. And honestly, I stand by that statement. The Streamliner, the Gretsch Streamliner, it has what they call Broadtrons on it. And the Broadtrons are essentially a humbucker. So what I got out of that was basically that they were darker sounding. I like the Filtertron pickups that come in the Electromatics. They're brighter. They're still not as bright as, say, like a TV Jones pickup. There's a company called TV Jones that's put in the higher end Gretsch guitars. This is kind of like the mid-level. But honestly, the guitar is freaking perfect. It's a great guitar. It plays great. It sounds great. The Filtertrons sound really good. I can't complain about the guitar. The guitar is awesome. I do feel like it is a step up from the Streamliner. The Streamliner, to me, felt like it just didn't feel as substantial. When I picked up the Electromatic, it had weight to it and had heft to it, and it felt like, okay, this is what a real guitar feels like. Whereas the Streamliner was lighter, and it felt cheaper to me. There's something cheaper about it. However, I had no problems with the Streamliner. Everything about it was actually rather nice, and it played good. I think the neck feels better on the Electromatics. So there you go, you get that. But yeah. So that's how I feel about the Electromatic. The Electromatic's a great guitar, and I honestly don't see any problems or issues with it. So yeah, if you're looking for that type of guitar, a Gretsch, I would go the couple $100 more and go for the Electromatic over the Streamliner. But if you can't afford it, the Streamliner is a good guitar. It's a good guitar. But I feel like if you grow to love the Streamliner, you're going to want an Electromatic or higher. So you're almost better off just to go with the Electromatic from the get-go and call it a day. Yeah. So that was basically the only comment that was on that video that I could really say anything about. I'm looking essentially for questions, but I don't have a lot of questions. I have comments from people, but I do have a few questions here and there that I can post on. Some of my best performing videos, actually, I did a video on the Epiphone ES335 Pro that I have. That's another one of my Let's Talk Guitar videos. Sorry. And let's see, what do we got for comments here? Scott Boyer said, I don't even play guitar and I really like this video. Great presentation and playing. That 335 has some great tones. Thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate that. That's a really nice compliment that this guy's not even a guitar player and he enjoyed my video. Try to make them interesting. Unfortunately, these videos for the next week or two are probably going to be a little flatter, but you know, I'll try to at least be entertaining myself, if that's possible. As much as entertaining as I possibly can be. Let's see. I knew there was a comment on here somewhere. Just give me a moment here. Definitely got me thinking about this guitar. Nice guitar. A lot of comments people like. I get a lot of like nice guitar. A lot of people saying Marty McFly inspired them to play guitar as well. Because in the video I mentioned that the 335 I originally saw Back to the Future and I really liked the cherry red guitar that Marty McFly played. Which is actually, somebody else pointed out to me, is actually not it's a 355 or something like that. But it's the same thing as, Marty McFly is actually playing an ES345. There's such minor differences between the 345, the 355. Most of it comes down to, some of them have a tremolo, some of them don't. Like, honestly, the bass guitar is very much the same on a lot of these guitars. It's like the same guitar, just extra stuff added onto the guitar, like a Bigsby or something along those lines. So yeah, but people like my BB King played an ES355, not a 335. Mickey Johnson said, "Thank you, Mickey Johnson, for that, for correcting me on that." However, when you do look up BB King, if you go online and look up, his name comes up under 335s. So he's, you know, maybe he's played 335s as well. I'm not sure if Lucille is particularly a 335, but the Lucille that as Epiphone or Gibson, I think they did Epiphone and a Gibson. Lucille reissue was a 335. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure this guy's correct. It probably was a 355 because Lucille had a Bigsby on it, so that would make the difference. But yes. Mike Solari writes, wondering if you know anything about AIO SH335 all-in-one guitars and your thoughts. I did respond back to him. I don't, unfortunately. Mike, I do not know. I've seen some videos on the AIO guitars, and they all look decent from what I can tell. I think you get into the sub $600 guitars, and you could get a guitar that needs a lot of work. You could get a guitar that right out of the box is not going to be very playable. I mean, because even with, like, say, like an Epiphone that's around the $700 range, those guitars need some work when you get them out of the box. They're not perfect out of the box half the time. You could make them very nice guitars, but they're not perfect right out of the box. So I feel like, yeah, that you might want to go, if you can afford it, go that extra couple $100. Or if you're looking for a project guitar, then great, go for the inexpensive. Go for a Firefly or a Harley Benton. Harley Benton's a little tricky to get in the United States, but you can still get them. And they tend to cost a little more for us because of all the shipping costs and you know, the overseas stuff. But yeah, so that's that. So let's see. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it for that video. I made another video here that was doing very well. Epiphone Les Paul Custom, my white tuxedo, Alpine white is what it's called actually. I did a Let's Talk Guitar video, Let's Talk Guitars video about that. I'm trying to talk today. Let's see. All right, so here are the comments on that. Let's see if there's anything interesting in here. A lot of people just, you know, write in to say that they like they have one and they really like the guitar. Let's see. Interesting story. Barry Fawn, F-O-H-N, writes, one time I bought an Ibanez Les Paul copy at a yard sale in California. I paid $20 for the darn thing, and it wasn't a bad guitar. That's pretty cool. $20 for a guitar. Not bad. You can get some deals. I mean, especially on inexpensive guitars that people don't realize they had. I was in Guitar Center the other day, and this was kind of a funny story, so I'll tell it. There was a woman at the counter. She was trying to get an acoustic guitar fixed. I guess she has a relative that's a nephew, or I think she said it was, that wanted to start playing guitar. So she had this really old, kind of beat up practice guitar. I mean, honestly, this thing was like Hello Kitty guitar level. Like, it was like, I don't think the thing could tune right. I don't think you were ever gonna get much playability out of it. And she had it at the counter, and she was bringing it into Guitar Center to get it set up and fixed, and she wanted the tech to work on it. And the guy at the counter was being very nice, and he was trying to convince her, I think, that the guitar she was giving him was not a very good guitar, and whoever got that guitar is not going to be able to play it very well. And I don't even think the tech's going to be able to do much with that guitar. All he's going to do is put pegs in it and try to tune it. I mean, the thing's probably not even going to stay in tune. It was missing a peg. It was an acoustic guitar. It was missing a peg. She wanted him to turn it into a nylon string guitar, and I was standing there at the counter, and I kind of butted into the conversation because I was standing right next to her. And I was like, yeah, I don't think you can turn this guitar into a nylon string guitar. And she was like, oh, why? She couldn't understand. That's because it's not a nylon string guitar. Like, it's not designed as a nylon string guitar. It doesn't have the same heads. I can't just put nylon strings on a steel string guitar. I mean, you can, but I don't think you're going to have very good luck with it. It's probably not going to tune and not play very well. But she left the guitar to be fixed, and I'd be interested to find out how that thing came out, because I don't think you're going to get much out of the guitar. But, you know, she didn't know much about guitars, and that was kind of obvious. She was trying to do a nice thing. However, I feel she was trying to do it in the cheapest possible way. And I almost feel like it was a ripoff. I kind of feel like a Guitar Center, the employee should have told her that it wasn't worth her getting it fixed. But she seemed like she was stuck in her ways, and it wasn't going to go any other way. So regardless of whether it was worth her time or not, that's what she wanted done, so that's what you were going to do. And she seemed like that type of person. But, you know, it was just an interesting story. I thought it was kind of funny. Okay, let's see. Is there anything? MRBH Cole, Mr. Bacole, writes, yeah, this is about the Epiphone Les Paul Custom. Yeah, thanks, Slash. I could find a used Gibson LP standard for $500 to $700 in the 90s. Yep, I know. You used to be able to get them. I think I responded to this post I wrote. I remember those days well. Good stuff could be found for cheap. Unfortunately, prices are out of hand now. You know, back when I first started playing guitar in the 90s, actually, it was around 91, 92 when I really started playing guitar pretty heavily. And I was in bands and whatnot. I feel like it was... I don't know. I heard a beep. I didn't know if it was coming from my phone or this or iPod or whatnot. I'm not used to this setup. You could find stuff used in guitar stores. You know, for less than $1,000, you could go home with a real Gibson Les Paul. That's impossible now. You'll never find that, and it would be a good guitar. The guitarist in a band that I was in called Room 18. This guy named Rob Marshall was the guitarist that I played with, and he had a studio, a studio Les Paul, and I think he paid like $600 for it or something like that used. I know he didn't. It wasn't a horribly expensive guitar. He just found it used and it was in good shape, and he bought it. And that was something that would happen back then. Now you go to Guitar Center. I mean, literally, you're paying $600 for a used made in Mexico Fender. It's hanging on the wall. So maybe $400 if you're lucky. You used to be able to find it for around $300, $400. Now they're like around $500, $600 regardless. Prices have jacked up so much on these guitars, but yeah, so that's crazy. But let's see if there's any more videos, but any more things I can comment on here. But I think we got a decent video here as it stands. I did a review of the film Crossroads, which is a great movie, and it seems like it hasn't gotten as many views as some of my other videos, but it's shown. Some people have shown some interest in it, which is always nice. And of course, it's loading. It's going to take forever. Really, there's only like 3 comments on this. Some Eagle Blues custom guitars wrote, I like this movie a lot. It was all for entertainment. I was surprised at the time of the film's release at how many people did not know who Scratch was or what the Crossroads were. Interesting. That's an interesting way to think about it, actually. Somebody asked, also said, gave me a suggestion to do the guitars in the Buddy Holly story, which I will eventually do with my current computer situation. I don't think I'm going to try to tackle that until I get that straightened out, because I'm not going to do that with the iPod. These will be simpler videos for a little while, but yeah. Show more replies. Anything else? Great idea. Oh, well, my response to that person saying that I was actually thinking about doing the Buddy Holly story as well. Yeah, Crossroads is a great movie. I love Crossroads. It's interesting that Scratch, that people didn't know Scratch was supposed to be the devil. He went by the name of Legba, which after doing a little research, I found out Legba is also, it's like a voodoo term for the devil, basically. So, yeah. All right, well, I think we got it. I think that wasn't so bad. Viewer comments, viewer questions video. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, leave comments below, give me ideas for videos, all that kind of stuff. Like I said, the videos are going to be on the lighter side for a couple weeks, but I will get back up to speed, and you will get some full production videos soon. I'm going to make that work somehow. So, but thanks a lot. I appreciate you guys watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. It's been pretty cool. It's really neat to see people actually responding to my content, and I appreciate that. I really do. And I hope you got something out of this video, and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.